Hi everybody, Adam here. Welcome back to our Lego room. Excited to be running some trains today around the tabletop layout. We have been working on a number of projects around the Lego room and the layout in particular. We've had a lot of parts and different projects on the layout. We were working on corner modules and a couple of T-junctions for the lower level layout, but everything is back off of the table. Everything's hooked up on the main tabletop layout, which is an exciting milestone to reach again. Always nice when we can get back to a working state. There's still a lot going on around the room, which we'll be covering in more detail as the week progresses. But today, big thing, want to run trains, make sure the tracks are behaving the way we expect, make sure all the trains are behaving as we expect. We are going to be taking a large number of trains and sections of the layout out to a train show at the end of the week. So really want to make a big push this week on getting trains in a ready to run state and working on a number of modules around the layout, both the upper and lower level layout. So lots to cover as the week goes on. We'll give you guys some sneak peeks of some of the things that we're working on. But really also just want to run several trains, make sure everything's working the way we want, and it should be a lot of fun. So let's get things started. So we've got the Maersk locomotive out. It has a little bit of a mix match of train cars that it's pulling. It's got a Union Pacific car in the middle to act as a sort of bridge car to the KD coupler that's on our War Bonds boxcar. Really awesome boxcar. Don't get it out on the layout moving around nearly enough. So fun to see it moving around here. This is one of those situations where, because we have sort of a split in train cars and locomotives that are using the KD couplers, we need to use the bridge cars, and really the main bridge car that I have to go between the magnetic couplers and the KD couplers is that Union Pacific car. Probably should build a few more. Probably be nice to have a few of the box cars that could operate as, connectors between the different coupler types. But nice to see that box car out moving around the layout. Everything seems to be moving quite smoothly so far, which is good. It's what I ultimately would hope for and expect, but you never know. And it's also just fun to get trains running around the layout again. The Lego room in general, still a bit of a, call it a mess. It's an organized mess. Lots of projects on the go at the moment, but really happy to have the corner modules and the new T-junctions in place with their mills components on the lower level layout. Still a few things to go through before we can get the sort of entire loop sufficiently on mills so that we can run trains around the entirety of the lower level layout. It would probably be done a smidge quicker if it wasn't for the fact that I'm going out to the train show at the end of this week. It just kind of changes the priorities a bit. We've got a bunch of projects that we want to get wrapped up for that. But then once we're back into the Lego room, we'll be finishing off those last few modules that will get us the continuous loop, and then we'll kind of work from there to build out the rest of the lower level layout. Okay, I think that's working pretty well. Let's try out a couple of different trains. Now, before we switch over to a couple different trains, just wanted to show a close-up of this boxcar. Really love the look of it. I think the color combo and the brown wheels really help it stand out versus some of the other cars around the layout, but the decals on there look awesome, and some really cool texture elements around the doors and the ladder there. A really nice box car. Super happy to have that in the collection, and like I said, probably don't get it out on the tracks nearly enough, so we will have to improve on that going forward and see if we can get it in the sort of rotation for cars to be used around the layout a bit more regularly. Now let's take these cars off and get a couple different trains ready to run. Oops, what happened over here? A little bit of a derailment. Let's get that fixed up. So, a little unexpected, but basically in shifting the Union Pacific car back into its normal train, I had the Union Pacific locomotive a little close to the track here, and so the Arctic Explorer train got caught on there as it was going by, but I think we should be good now. Doesn't have a lot of clearance, but it doesn't need too much, so should be good now. We've got the Maersk again pulling a longer cargo train this time, and nice to put the Arctic Explorer through its paces as well. Both lines on the main line seem to be behaving as I would expect, which is good to see. All the corner modules in the T-junction seem to be operating the way I would expect them to be, which is nice. Everything's back to its working order, or the way it was prior to the track work. And so one of the big things I need to do this week, in addition to finishing off several track/building modules and a few trains that I'm going to take to the show, I also need to go through and sort of recharge and power everything up. I will take my power functions as well as the powered up trains. So we'll have both sets of batteries there, both sets of controllers. I take my rechargeables for the power functions. I've got several of the battery packs that I can just plug into the wall to recharge, but I also take a large number of the battery ones just for ease of swapping things in and out. I'm planning on getting the wind turbines ready to go for the show as well. So we'll be doing a little bit of work on those earlier in the week here. And then we'll get those ready to go. Those chew through some batteries as well over the course of a weekend. So it's always an adventure in trying to take as many different battery packs as you can each day, bringing them home at the end of the day to, swap out batteries where necessary, plug things into the wall where necessary. You can see still lots of Mills modules around the layout. We've got several stacks, a bunch over here, as well as a bunch over here. Those will be getting sort of distributed out around the tabletop layout as well as the lower level layout as the week progresses and into the following week as well, I'm sure. We will be allocating those to various buildings and track modules that we are building and getting ready in those different areas. So it'll take a little bit for those to kind of disperse out from around the edge of the layout, but really happy with how the existing ones have been going into the new track modules. And like I said, I've got some modules that I've been building for the upcoming show specifically, and happy to have, you know, a nice set of Mills modules to pull from for that. So really happy with how they're working, but it will be nice to continue to shrink those stacks over the coming week or two here. Will make it a lot easier to move around the room and the layout. Also excited to get back into some city work here. Probably won't happen too much this week, but the following week, going to be doing adding some additional modulars into the city, and we'll do a few lighting videos. Want to revamp some of the power flow through the city as we continue to add things like our train signal lights here around the layout, and want to be able to easily turn those on and off. And so obviously managing the power for those is going to be super important. We do have power in most parts of the layout now. We've got it through the city part of the layout. We've got it through the train yard over there, and it's starting to head down into and through the grain elevator agricultural part of the layout. So that obviously makes it easier and easier to add additional powered modules, but you know, a little more work here, and I think we can finally get power extended out to the far side of the layout over there. And just like I said, make it a little easier through these different sort of sections, both in the rail yard industrial area and into the city here, to have power turning on and off as we want to, you know, as we're running different trains or doing different configurations of lighting around the Lego room. It'll be really nice to have as easy a way as possible to interact with all of the lighting around the layout. These trains are running pretty well, pretty happy with how everything's performing. Let's see if we can run another train or two before we call this initial test run complete and successful. A quick sneak peek of a couple modules that are in progress that we will highlight more on the channel in the coming days as they wrap up. But we've got a train station that is in the early stages of coming together, and a support building that's going to go next to an awesome water tower that we are building. These are both instruction sets, or based on instruction sets that I picked up from Japaz and that we have talked about on the channel before. So really excited to get these modules finished up. We've got a couple other modules that you guys will see hopefully in more detail early this week. We'll do kind of a walkthrough of what the layout is going to look like at the train show. the different modules that we're looking at taking for our sections. And we'll cover some of the sort of the process, what trains are going, how I'm packing everything. Should be interesting. Always an adventure getting things moved in and out of the Lego room, but should be a lot of fun. Nice to get the Horizon Express back up onto the tabletop layout. It is moving well, wouldn't expect otherwise, but nice to see it running again. And definitely looking forward to some longer trains that we're going to be able to start running in the very near future. We have several locomotives that are in progress from Brick Train Depot instruction sets. They should be excellent additions to the layout here, and they will let us start pulling some much longer loads. Multi-motor locomotives should definitely have a lot of pulling power, but I think really fun when you start to get some nice super long loads for the different trains to pull. As I clean things up and get things ready to take out to the train show, I'll also be pulling the trains down off the upper train track layout. We've talked about that doing that for a bit, but we haven't been able to with all the various boxes, parts, sets, etc. around the perimeter of the room. It's been difficult to move the ladders around and get to everything. Those trains will come down. We'll do some tests with those on the main line. We'll put some different trains up to stretch their legs a bit and see how the upper track layout is performing and working. So it's going to be a busy week here as we get set for the train show, but really excited about the different projects we have on the go and what you should see coming online. And it's going to be a lot of fun to take these new modules, some old modules, as well as a bunch of trains out to the train show. Always fun to be able to connect my train modules up with the train modules of other members of our Lego user group, and then put trains through our paces around the big layout. Should be cool to see. Also just fun to see some of the projects that people have been working on over the last little while. Really happy about having the layout cleared off again though and able to run trains. Also, in general, just a nice milestone to get to, and I'm trying to make sure that as much as possible we keep the layout regularly working so that we can be running trains, getting new trains online and tested out on the layout. Just fun to be able to do, and also easier to work on things when you're fairly close to a last known working configuration. As that comes around here, we can stop that. Perfect. So overall, super happy with how things are running on the layout. Lots of work ahead this week as we finish off some really cool modules that we've been working on. We've got some other projects in the queue that we'll be starting after we're back from the train show, and lots of other things happening around the Lego room and our layouts. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, please make sure to do so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. And thank you guys very much for watching. We will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.